Imagine stepping into the mind of someone who walks among us, smiling, charming, even admired, yet utterly detached from the warmth that binds most human hearts. This is the world of the psychopath. Not a monster from fiction, but a real psychological profile that shapes lives, families, and societies in profound and often devastating ways. The psychology of psychopaths is unsettling, not because it is mysterious, but because it is familiar. It lives closer to everyday life than most people want to admit. Psychopaths are not always strangers hiding in the shadows. Sometimes they are partners, parents, siblings, colleagues, leaders, or trusted figures. They are people whose inner world is wired differently, and that difference shapes how they love, harm, control, and move through society. At the heart of psychopathy is a mind that does not connect to emotion the way most minds do. Feelings exist, but they are shallow, fleeting, and self-centered. Empathy, the ability to truly feel another person's pain, is weak or absent. This does not mean psychopaths do not understand emotions. They do. They just understand them the way a chess player understands moves, not the way a human feels loss or guilt. Emotion is information, not experience. Because of this, abuse often becomes natural rather than intentional. Psychopaths abuse people not always out of rage, but out of indifference. They use, manipulate, belittle, deceive, and discard without inner conflict. Family members are often the most damaged because they are closest, most trusting, and easiest to control. A psychopathic parent may emotionally starve a child while appearing normal to outsiders. A psychopathic partner may gaslight, cheat, lie, and humiliate while insisting they are the victim. The abuse is subtle, consistent, and deeply confusing. What makes this abuse especially painful is that it lacks emotional logic. There is no remorse afterward, no genuine apology, no deep effort to change. When confronted, the psychopath may deny, minimize, blame, or twist reality. They are skilled at making others doubt themselves. Over time, victims begin to feel exhausted, anxious, and broken without fully understanding why. Inside the psychopathic mind, people are objects, not consciously labeled as such, but treated that way. Others exist to provide admiration, obedience, status, sex, money, or control. When someone no longer serves a purpose, they are ignored or discarded. This is why relationships with psychopaths often follow a pattern: intense charm at the beginning, gradual control in the middle, and emotional destruction at the end. Psychopaths are often charming. This is one of the most dangerous traits. Charm is not warmth, it is performance. They study people carefully. They mirror interest, values, and emotions. They say what you want to hear. They appear confident, decisive, and emotionally strong. In a world full of insecure people, this can be magnetic. But the charm is a tool, not a bond. Their minds are highly self-focused. They think in terms of advantage and outcome. They ask, often unconsciously, "What do I gain?" rather than, "How does this affect you?" They are comfortable lying because lying does not create inner discomfort. Truth is flexible if it serves their goal. Consistency is optional. Accountability feels like an attack. Psychopaths often lack fear in the way most people experience it. Consequences do not register emotionally, only intellectually. This makes them bold, risk-taking, and sometimes reckless. It also makes them dangerous in positions of power. When shame, guilt, and fear are absent, nothing internally stops harmful behavior except external consequences. In society, psychopaths can have a disproportionate impact. Some end up in prison, but many do not. Many function successfully in business, politics, religion, media, and leadership roles. Systems that reward confidence, aggression, and dominance can unintentionally elevate psychopathic traits. When empathy is not required and results matter more than people, psychopaths thrive. The societal damage they cause is often invisible but widespread. Toxic workplaces, corrupt leadership, broken families, manipulative institutions. People burn out, lose trust, and become cynical after prolonged exposure to psychopathic behavior. Over time, society itself becomes colder, more suspicious, and more fragmented. Identifying a psychopath is not about one behavior, but patterns. They lie easily and often, even when there is no clear reason. They rarely take responsibility. They blame others for their own actions. Their stories change. Their emotions feel rehearsed rather than spontaneous. They lack long-term genuine relationships. People around them often feel drained, confused, or diminished. Another strong sign is how they react when you set boundaries. Healthy people may feel hurt, but they respect limits. Psychopaths feel challenged. They push harder. They punish distance. They attempt to regain control through guilt, threats, charm, or rage. Boundaries threaten their sense of dominance. They also lack true accountability. When caught, they may apologize convincingly, but the behavior repeats. Words are used to reset access, not to signal change. Over time, you realize the apology was a strategy, not a reflection. There are names that often come up in public discussions of psychopathy, especially when people try to understand its extreme forms. Figures like Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and Charles Manson are commonly referenced because their lack of empathy and manipulation were visible on a dramatic scale. These names are not mentioned to sensationalize, but to illustrate the extreme end of a spectrum that also exists quietly in everyday life. More subtle forms exist too, often called successful psychopaths. These are individuals who never commit crimes, but leave emotional wreckage behind them. They may be known as ruthless executives, serial cheaters, chronic manipulators, or emotionally abusive parents. Their harm is legal, socially acceptable, and therefore harder to confront. One of the most interesting and disturbing aspects of psychopathy is how normal it can look from the outside. Psychopaths understand social rules. They can be polite, generous, and even inspirational when it serves them. This is why victims are often not believed. The mask works better on outsiders than on those living behind it. Philosophically, psychopathy forces us to rethink what it means to be human. If empathy is weakened, what remains? Intelligence, willpower, ambition, desire, but without moral depth. It shows us that being human is not just about thinking or acting, but about feeling connected to others. The confusing relationship, the manipulative boss, the family member who never changes. Suddenly, patterns make sense. Confusion turns into clarity. Self-blame turns into understanding. The most important lesson is not fear, but awareness. Psychopaths cannot be fixed by love, patience, or understanding. They change only when consequences are unavoidable. The healthiest response is distance, boundaries, and clarity. You do not argue with a person who does not share your emotional language. You protect yourself and step back. Understanding the psychology of psychopaths is not about labeling everyone or seeing danger everywhere. It is about recognizing patterns, trusting your instincts, and honoring your emotional reality. When something feels deeply wrong but you cannot explain it, knowledge gives you language, and language gives you power. In the end, psychopathy teaches us the value of empathy by showing us its absence. It reminds us that kindness without boundaries is vulnerability, and intelligence without conscience is danger. And most of all, it reminds us that understanding the darker corners of the human mind helps us protect the light within ourselves.